The front side of our platform is actually designed in the final analysis to deliver a customer experience. And I understood the importance of customer experiences from this book that I read actually about year 2000. And that turned my head on, and I thought, that kind of resonates with me. There's something about wanting to deliver an experience that would make it a very, very compelling proposition. But I, back then, never even had the idea, didn't have access to the resources to be able to even think of anything like this, to be honest. And then in 2006, I went off on a Disney cruise with my young family. And I don't know if you've ever been on a Disney cruise, but it's absolutely fantastic. You go away for 4, 5, 6 days, 2 weeks, whatever, and your feet don't touch the ground. And Disney have mastered the art of delivering an experience. And what I understood in 2006 was that Disney had anticipated every single potential point of conflict in all of their range of operations. And they developed a script for every single scenario about how to solve it. And I tell you, you know, I spent four days, I think, with them on that trip, and it was like walking on air when I got off. It was brilliant, incredibly well executed. You know, they get you locked up on that boat for all those days. You haven't got anywhere to go, so they can manage every single scenario that you could anticipate. Brilliant. So I had that experience, and I thought, I wonder if I ever be in a position to do something like that. And then just earlier this year, Carla Johnson and Robert Rose wrote this book called The Seventh Era of Marketing, which I've talked about in another talk. But essentially, what they're saying is that we've now moved on from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, when marketing was sort of understood to be this, but today, now in the connection economy, you can't market the old way. Now the way that you market is through delivering of experiences, and it's absolutely on the money. And then, of course, Mr. Jobs has already confirmed all of this, so we shouldn't really be too surprised or understand that this is anything new we haven't heard before. So while all this is going on and we're creating these relationships, it's vitally important to take advantage of the law of social proof. And the law of social proof basically represents a shortcut for people in their thinking when they need to make decisions, because life is way too complicated. So we're always looking for shortcuts. And one of the ways to procure a shortcut to a decision is, what are other people doing and what do other people think of it? And so embedded in our proposition was this idea that we were going to garner social proof and feed that back into our loop system so that we share it with our audience. So that's what the client experience is. That's the front end of the platform. So what about the back end? Well, it's all WordPress, and it's so simple, actually. It's mind-boggling. But then again, you know, all the best things are simple, and as I've gotten older, I've learned that's really true. So what are we doing at the back end? Well, essentially what we do is we have a very, very simple SEO routine. And it's just called WordPress SEO by Yoast. That's it. Very simple. When we lay down the platform, the content layer, we, having written the Hong Kong Visa Handbook, we'd essentially defined the parameters of our niche. And then once we kind of got the operating sort of boundaries in play, we were able to then break down each component of our niche into a fixed taxonomy. And once we had that fixed taxonomy, we knew all the kind of language that was going to emerge in English that represents our niche. And so the way that WordPress works allows you to essentially describe the various tags and categories that you're using to lay down your taxonomy. And by doing that, you essentially create this encyclopedic knowledge down to the very sort of grassroots of where the niche comes from, having it all defined so that, if not today, in future iterations of the various algorithms, they'll be able to sweep in, pick all that up and understand exactly what this content is. And that means that essentially we'll be the author of the content that ultimately gets forged into the mesh of the internet. and allowing or encouraging our visitors to our websites to ask these questions in the way that I've described before, we not only generate continuing content that's live and of the age, but we're also able to go into certain scenarios, as I say, they'd never really be able to imagine. So that further enmeshes it down into the knowledge graph, and this is the platform that sits underneath what goes on the top end.